Hey lovelies, it's T here from Golden Thread Tarot, and I'm here to bring you a let's talk / channeled message. Okay, so there are just some things that I want to speak on. There's some things that I'm being encouraged to just let come out, to speak on them. And there are things that we've touched on in some other past readings on the channel, but I want to speak on them again. A big thing is that Spirit, okay, and I'm hearing there is a past message. I think it was either a full moon or a new moon message that was like no more crumbs, or you were taught to accept crumbs, something like that. I'll try to remember to post it up top. Yeah, so it was like you were taught to accept crumbs, something like that. I'll try to remember to link it up there because that message is coming out to me right now. I just heard that, but I feel like a lot of us, and I'm going to include myself in this because I've been going through some things in my personal life that, that are helping me to realign some things that were really hard for me to accept, some things that were really hard for me, even though I got the messages from the collective about, friends or people or places falling out of your life, and not all happening in the best way, you know, uh, shit happens. And sometimes, we have to be responsible for our past actions. People don't always, have to be understanding towards us, which it can be really hard, because those are kind of things that we expect out of, that's kind of it's like, that's why you're a friend, or that's why you're a family member, that's why you're a lover, or that's why you're a partner, a spouse, is because I expected you to be a little bit more understanding, to at least hear me out, to give me a fair shot to speak on what's going on in my life and be considerate about the things I'm dealing with as well, but it is what, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes people just grow apart. It happens. But yeah, and this can really happen, it can feel like some really rough burdens here, right? But again, everything unaligned must go, like align your life, right? Um, and it's really important to listen to those high priestess, to get when you get those downloads and you get those channels, to let it go and let it be what it's supposed to be. Exactly, unbound, right? You're becoming unbound from these past soul cycles, from these past, and it's funny too that it's unbound with the 3 and 3, right? Friendship groups, or things like that. It happens, and it can really suck. And deeper than that, deeper than, and just because you become unbound from these people, or things get karmic or things get toxic, that doesn't mean that they're evil or terrible people, or that you're an evil or terrible person. That just means that your energies don't align. And it can sound really simple to say that, but it's much more complicated, right? Human feelings and emotions are much deeper and much more complicated and much messier than that. But Spirit wanted me to tap into some of the source of that for some of you, right? And Spirit wants to really say a lot of the source is that you were not taught how to love. You were taught how to comply. You were taught how to ignore red flags. You were taught how to mold yourself around other people. You were taught, and a lot of you can be really learning those lessons of, damn, this is not what real love is. This is not what a real relationship should be like. This is not what real friendship should be like. This is not what real family relationship should be like. It's, and because of that, there are going to be some people, places, things in your life that are just not resonating with with the new version of yourself that you're finding inside of you, right? Maybe you had soul ties, or maybe you had trauma bonds with those people, places, those things from the past, and you're just unaligning those things. Because I know for me personally, I can examine a lot of the relationships that I've had in the past, and I can say honestly that I really found kindred energy in that person because we had went through a lot of the same childhood trauma. And although in the past, I thought, wow, that will make us understand the things about each other more. That'll make us, and for a while it felt like it did, right? But when you start realizing the true nature of some of these relationships, or the true nature of some of these things, um, you have to be careful not to use that and labeling things as like an excuse or labeling things as like an escape away from the pain. You really need to face that, right? And find the truth inside of yourself. But if you're really resonating with this, right, that's what spirit says, is that for a lot of you, you were taught to not have proper boundaries, because if you had proper boundaries, things were taken away from you. There were punishments. There were, those invites stopped coming. Though those, that love or that acceptance. For some of you, much deeper than that. Some of you maybe were even denied food or denied shelter. Maybe doing the things where it's like, well, you think you deserve this, I'm going to take it away. I'm going to take, you don't deserve privacy in this house. You don't deserve, everything in this house is mine, even though every human does deserve a level of privacy, which I think is a big major flaw in the way that a lot of people choose to raise their children, which is, obviously as a parent, there are things about your kid you need to be involved in, but every person deserves to have that safe space to themselves. Your kids you shouldn't demand your kids to tell you every single one of their secrets and things like that. Which I guess at this age, right at this point, I don't have kids. It might be easier for me to say this, but it is a lesson that I'm trying to learn so that I don't impact my children in that same way. At least for me personally, right? Um, and parenting is a touchy subject because a lot of people are just like, my kids, I know what's best for my kids, even though we all know not every parent is coming from a healed place where they truly are treating their children the way that they really deserve to be treated. But um, and that kind of circles back around with the toxic generational cycles of you were taught that, you were taught by people who had authority above you, whether or not they be your parents or your family members, or lovers in the past. You could have had a really loving family unit, but then you just came across a really nasty lover that really, that they take away your power by teaching you to comply, by teaching you to accept, like, no, they gaslight you. No, what I'm doing is not bad. You having a reaction to what I'm doing is bad. No, me saying no or me denying you is okay, but you denying me is never okay. Like, no, I will only see my perspective from this situation because that's the only perspective that matters. So I feel like a lot of you are probably realigning and kind of purging a lot of this energy, and this can manifest in a lot of different ways for you, right? In your friendships, your relationships, your lovers, your spouses, your career choices, in a lot of ways, right? But Spirit is saying that you were not taught what real love was. You were taught to comply because you had a person that had authority over you that was not healed. You had a person that taught you to ignore those red flags. And because of that, a lot of you might have been in a lot of really toxic or, codependent trauma bonds, things like that. And we can come to a place where we want to point the finger at the other person, like, I've kind of touched on this before, and I had somebody comment on it, and saying that victim blaming was wrong. And I was like, because I said that at some point we have to have the courage inside ourselves to take accountability for some of our choices and our actions. No, it wasn't your fault that you were taught this toxic view on love. But at some point, it is our responsibility to raise ourselves out of it. It is our responsibility to notice how maybe we adopted some of those own toxic traits and we project those onto other people because we were taught it was okay to be that way because people in our past gaslit us to expect to be okay with them acting that way. So now we think it's okay for us to act that way, right? Or, at some point you have to understand, like, okay, like, I should really be examining some of this so that I can register the red flags that people are giving me. And I know that for me in my life, when I would go and I would open up, say I was having difficulty with a guy that I was talking to, or that I was dating, or that I was in some kind of situationship with, right? And if I would go and talk about, I found that a lot of advice that I got from people was just like, get over it, just move on, like, just let it go. And I thought, is it that easy for everybody else to just get over it and let it go? Like, he's an asshole, just get over it. He's not treating you right, just kick him to the curb. And I'm like, is it that easy? Is there something wrong with me that it's not that easy for me to get over it? If it's not that easy for me to turn my heart space off, if it really, really hurts me. And I had to come to the place where I was just like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're not wrong made as a person, right? You have just been taught to compromise your self-worth. And I remember I was doing, and now myself, now I can say, oh God, I was laying myself low for a guy that I really wanted to, like me, that I really wanted to, and I was putting myself way over the edge out there, um, and I was really upset because he was like denying me and kind of going back and forth. And a friend of mine at the time she kind of stopped, and she even started yelling at me because she was just like, why can't you see that he just doesn't fucking want you? Right? Like, why can't you just see, like, why are you doing all this? Like, why are you, like, why are you being so pathetic about it? Like, can't you just see, and I just started breaking down and crying. And she eventually was like, I'm sorry I talked to you that way. But, and at the time I just got so triggered and hurt that we didn't talk about it. We didn't bring it. I can't, I think it was years ago at this point, but I remember that moment of her saying that. And it just hurt me so much for somebody to be that bold and that honest and being like, because who wants to hear that? Nobody wants to hear like girl, you're making a fucking fool of yourself for somebody who doesn't care about you. And yeah, he might call you tomorrow and want you to give him time and want to give you time now, but tonight you're not who he wants to be with, and you're laying yourself low for a dude that doesn't care about you. Why can't you find the strength inside of yourself, to raise out of that? And my response in the past was always, well, why are they treating me this way? Well, why can't they just treat me better? Like, don't I deserve to be treated better? Yes. And the answer was always yes, was always yes, but just wasn't what I couldn't see around my trauma, the truth that I couldn't accept around that block that I had, and seeing how how painful the block was, and how I was just how my brain was just blocking it out and not really wanting to say, like, just stop, because, well, at the time I didn't want to examine how hurt I was from, my childhood, and how hurt I was from being abandoned by my father, and how hurt I was, for past things that I had gone through. you know um I didn't want to admit that I was just, like, because at the end, yeah, that person, yes. Did that guy have to take advantage of me just because he could? No, he didn't. He could have been truthful. He could have been honest. He could have, saw that I want something else and then chose not to do that. He didn't, just because somebody shows themselves as ignorant or shows themselves as naive doesn't mean that you have to take advantage of them. You don't have to. And that was always my excuse. Well, why doesn't he just treat me better? Well, why don't you just care about yourself enough to kick that person to the curb? And at the time, it was because I didn't want to be alone. Although I was, but I could, so, um, our journey to finding our self-love and our self-respect is a winding, slippery slope of a path. And at some point, we all have to understand that both are true, right? I don't ever want you to feel like completely like I'm victim blaming you, like you should have, but you didn't. And is it your fault that you weren't taught to have that self-respect? That in fact, you were taught to belittle yourself. In fact, you were taught to chase after love. In fact, you were taught that if you don't lower yourself like this, if you have those expectations, people are going to treat you like you are not worthy of having those expectations. Because that had happened to me too. When I did tell a guy, like, no, you need to take me out, or no, you need to do this, they'd just be like, psh, whatever. So it wasn't like there was nothing there, with the whole like wanting to be lonely thing, did not wanting to be lonely thing, right? For me in the past. Whew. Sorry. This is still not the easiest thing to talk about for me, but it's kind of finding this balance inside of yourself and acknowledging that, no, it's not your fault that you were taught a messed up way to view yourself, but it is your responsibility to hold yourself and hold other people to a higher standard than you were taught, right? That to understand that even if nobody wants to give you the respect that you think you deserve, it doesn't matter. Don't lower your standards and don't lower your self-worth for anyone. Don't don't turn down your shine. Don't turn down your volume. Don't turn down, wanting to have a voice. Because another big struggle in my life is feeling like I was worthy enough to have a voice. Because I've had a lot of people in my life tell me that I'm not, that I'm not pretty enough, or that I'm not smart enough, or that I'm not educated enough, or that I don't deserve to have a place or to have a voice. And that's another battle that I've really had to fight in my life. But it's something that I've realized now I'm not going to give that up. I'm not going to do it. So as much as people might want to silence you, yes. Just say yes, right? As much as people might want to silence you, as much as some people might want to turn their back on you, there are always going to be people who are going to rise to meet that. It might take longer to find them. It might not be right now. It might not be this year. You might have to spend some time by yourself. But trust and believe that it is better, right? It is better. It is better than to compromise your self-worth to just have somebody or to just have friends, because that isn't real. The friends that align with the compromised version of yourself, they aren't real. The friends or the family or the lovers that align with the quieted, with the disempowered, with the weak version, or the, that person that hasn't found that courage, that strength to stand up and say, no, I'm not weak. I don't want to say weak. I want to say like you chose yourself, like not that you're weak, that you're actually naturally weak, right? But that you were trained to be weak. That part of you that was trained to be weak, that part of you that was trained to shut up, that part of you that was trained to be silent, that part of you that was trained to just smile and not be seen or not be heard. That part of you that was trained to just be okay with people treating you like crap, and then having those same people tell you, well, it's your fault. It's your fault that I treat you like crap. Look at how you act. Look at how you let me treat you. Are you surprised that I treated you that way? And that can be infuriating, right? But it's time for you to rise up and find that self. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Exactly, right? It's time for you to allow yourself to raise above that. Boundaries are so important, and I feel like so many people in my collective right now are just really learning that, or just really learning to break the chain, right? Ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future, right? Thank you, Spirit. Right? Coming out of that cave and being seen and having the light shine on you and not being so much of this shadow version of yourself, and coming into alignment with what really serves, being that warrior woman or that warrior man, that person who stands up, that Queen of Swords, King of Swords energy, that person who stands up and speaks the truth for themselves. That person that is not afraid to look inside themselves and say, okay, what about me needs to change? Not just what about other people need to change as well, right? Yeah, Spirit wants to specifically say, stop aligning yourself with people who want you to take 100% of the blame. Just that. If you have friends, if you have family, if you have coworkers, if you have people that want to be like, it's all your fault, just leave those people behind. They're not real friends. They're not real family. They're not real lovers. They don't really love you. And the problem is they don't really love themselves. But if you are in a situation where somebody doesn't want to take accountability for their situation, just for their part in a situation, walk away. Walk away. Take the accountability that you need to take within your own self, even if it's not to that person's face, and walk the hell away. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at that on the back of the voice. Share your voice, right? Come out of the cave. Perception. Hello. Expression, sorry. Hello, right? Coming out of the cave. Because you're awakening. There is this deeper sense, this deeper, again, this elevating energy. And not everybody's going to be okay with that. Energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. Exactly. You are integrating that shadow self and that higher self into this earth form, into yourself. You're already doing it. Stop overthinking, facing your true north. Keep facing your true north. You're doing it. And so many of you will have people in your life that will question you, that will say, you haven't grown. You haven't done this. You haven't done that. And it could infuriate you because you could be like, where's your growth? But okay. But anyway, right? There are people who are going to refuse to see it, even if it's evident, even if it's not evident. It doesn't matter. Who cares what they even think? Who cares if they think you've grown? Who cares what they think about how you're handling the situation? As long as you know that you're not listening. I mean, obviously we have to check ourselves and make sure that we're not being selfish, or that we're not only listening to our ego telling us, no, they're wrong and you're right. No, as long as you're in a place where you're like, I can see what I did wrong, I can see what you did wrong, and I can see in between. As long as you are in that space, and you're not so busy pointing the finger that you're not looking at your own actions, then that's all you need to be aware of. Okay, Spirit said stop. Oh, they wanted me. Divine orchestration. So for a lot of you, right, this is your spirit guides coming together to tell you, hey, because sometimes those things we need to remove from our lives, they're things within us, right? It's not all, the tower moment isn't always about taking other people out of our life. Sometimes it's about taking other people out of our life to realize, because sometimes we do have to step up and say, I'm losing this person because of my own choices and my own actions, and how I wasn't there for them, or I was being a bad person to them, or I was allowing my shadow or my mistakes or my trauma to affect or to hurt them. We have to do that as well, right? But again, some people won't see that. Some people won't ever see that. But that's their own issue. Yeah, so just get grounded, right? For a lot of you, that's another thing. For a lot of you with this get grounded, empaths, highly sensitive, connect with nature. For a lot of you, you've spent a lot of time taking in other people's energy. For some, for a lot of you, it could have been that you had these people around you that were so used to them always being able to dump their chaos and dump their energy on you. Those friends that always wanted to, that it's like, what do you mean you won't just be available for me anytime I want you to be there anymore? What do you mean you won't be there to talk about all of my heavy shit that I'm going through? What do you mean you need time to yourself? Or what do you mean you're working? Or what do you mean this? Or maybe it's a boss that, what do you mean you have a personal life and you care about it? No, you need to be here slaving away at this job all the time, or what do you mean, just because I'm your mom, I can't just show up at your house whenever I want? What do you mean? When you start putting up those boundaries, when you start having that kind of positive selfishness in your life, that self-love energy, there are going to be plenty of people in your life that question that. There are going to be plenty of people in your life that go, no, you're being fucking selfish. No, you just care about yourself. Oh, you don't have time for us anymore. Oh, you don't have time for this anymore. Oh, you're too good for that anymore. Whatever it is. And a lot of you are going to be tempted to fall back into those old ways of, well, maybe I am being selfish. Well, maybe I should compromise myself. Well, maybe I can spend less time meditating and doing my spiritual work and stuff to just go hang out with my friends. Or maybe not. Maybe you should go find friends, one, that want to do that spiritual work with you, or two, are understanding that you have your own fucking life to live too, just like they do. Or have that job that is respectful, or have that partner that's respectful. Protection, right? Your spirit guides are saying, call back your power, cut the cords, soul revival, cut the cords, cut the energetic cords with these people, with these places, with these things, because you're so used to them having so much pull over your energy. You're so used to having their love or having their acceptance or having their, their invitation or having their understanding or having their claps of approval for you and what you do, that when you step out of that, it can feel like, oh, and it can start making you feel like, well, damn, like, if these are my family, if this is my lover, if this is my spot, they should be clapping for me, not telling me they're jealous of me, not telling me that I'm being selfish because I'm spending time getting myself or my body or my mind right. What is going on here? And I mean, that doesn't mean that you haven't done things in the past that might make these people feel this way. But at the end of the day, you are always responsible for your actions, but they are also always responsible for their actions. Nobody else is ever responsible for your actions on things. Somebody can do something so dirty. Somebody can slap you in the face, but it is your choice if you choose to get into a fight back with them. It is your choice. If somebody does something to you, it's your choice as to whether or not you handle it in a certain way or you handle it in a, I'm going to be, oh, you're petty, I'm going to be petty too. Oh, you're doing that, I'm going to do that too. That's always your choice, just like it's always their choice. So that goes both ways. So be aware of that as well. Birthing a new age. Yeah. Birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Exactly. Falling under this awakening. Like, you are 100% birthing a new version of yourself into being. You are aligning with new thought processes and new, and that's going to come with a lot of things in your life. I've seen this starseed here, the starseed card, like so many times on cuts and all kind of stuff. I was just about to say, some of you might be really aligning with your starseed soul family, I think, and then look, their soul family. Right? So some of you, you're making way for people that you don't resonate with anymore. Maybe people that you trauma bonded with in the past. And at this point, all you can do is say, thanks for the lessons. hope that your life keeps improving, or hope that you're finding your lessons, or you're finding your soul path, and you're doing what you need to do. But what I have to do involves me walking this way away from you. And what you have to do involves you walking that way away from me. And it just is what it is. But for a lot of you, it is, yeah, thank you, Spirit. Don't dim to fit in. I kept saying that, right? Don't dim to fit in. Don't dim to match yourself to these past people, or this past person, or this past job, or this past energy. Don't be tempted, right? Which a lot of us might have been really tempted during like this Mercury retrograde, or like all the all the retrogrades that we're in and that we're dealing with, to walk that backwards, right? To walk that backwards and go, well, maybe I am being selfish. Maybe I do need to reach, but Spirit will let you know. Spirit will let you know right quick. And sometimes your shadow self, or sometimes your abandonment issues can come back up and be like, don't. But okay. For a lot of, for some of you, I really feel like this is like a motherly or grandmotherly or friend, like friendship level energy, especially if you are detaching from a group of feminine energy, regardless of, their gender that they physically identify with. If it's like a group of feminine energy people, Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. I really feel like that for a lot of you, like I said, with that soul family, you are going to be realigning with people. So bless it and release it, right? Bless it and release it. Try your best to purge and work through the anger or the pain or, any of that, not, and try to do as little finger pointing as you possibly can. And I know personally from myself, anger is a big issue that I have to work through. Anger is a big issue for me. It's a big thing that I have to work through. It's a big thing that I have to really spend a lot of time, more time than I would wish, purging from me, because I grew up in a very angry environment. I grew up with a very angry, masculine, feminine energy around me that, so it's something that I personally really have to work on really hard. So, whew. And then Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. Again, with this, right? You're already doing it. Spirit is saying that you are aligning and that you are following your divine plan, and that you are following this. And this energy down here, right here, always reminds me of the Great Gathering card that's in this deck. Oh, because it reminds me of, and on the Great Gathering card, it talks about soul family, right? It talks about you coming in alignment with your soul family. Oh, that's happening for so many of you. Yeah. The more you share your voice, the more you stand in your authenticity, the more you're going to align with these people, you know? Ooh, and you're going through this transformation energy, right? Things are changing at a cellular level. Deep healing. This is really deep healing, especially with a lot of you, with a lot of your feminine energy and your feminine connections, especially if you identify with a woman and you have a lot of female friends, or you have trouble. Like for me in my life when I was younger, I had a really hard time having a lot of like female friends, and it was so much easier. It was always so much easier. I mean, I did grow up around, like, I have seven. Oh no, I'm one of seven. So I have six younger half brothers, and also all of my mom's friends that I grew up with. They all had boys. So I always found it a lot easier to identify and like get along. I was a tomboy for a long time in my life. I found it a lot easier, and it wasn't literally until I was in like middle school, almost high school, until I had people that I really would call like really really close, like female friends. Um, and I feel, for me, I feel like this is a wound that I am trying to cultivate and trying to heal within myself as well. And so some of you might feel that way. For some of you might feel like it's a masculine wound, or, let it resonate as it does for you. But again, this don't dim to fit in. Don't feel, no, with that thunder and lightning on the back, like, no. Like, do not dim yourself to fit into these people that spirit is trying so hard to unbind yourself from. You are unbound from these past things. They're trying so hard to protect you from this energy, right? And it doesn't make them bad, terrible people, but you also could be feeling this moment of deep replenishment here, where your body is calling out for more nutrients, more water, like, hey, you've been spending so many years or so long of your life giving and giving and giving and giving to the wrong places, right? And I feel like for me, something that I'm also realizing is that I spend a lot of time chasing and running after people who didn't even care about me, trying to chase down trying to chase down and heal my father wounds, that I didn't even notice how it made a lot of the feminine energies in my life feel a certain type of way about me. Or how, dealing with some toxic attachment styles and toxic wounds that I dealt with really isolated me away from other people, that, or took away energy that, instead of wasting my time on people or places or things or escapism, or, you know, um, like alcohol or drug habits, to not give that energy to that, and instead give energy to people, places, and things that were actually, at the time at least, trying to add positivity to your life. And I definitely am realizing that for me personally, dealing with a lot of my escapism energy that I dealt with in a lot of different toxic ways in my life, really did ruin a lot of my friendships, and really did ruin a lot of my possible relationships that I could have had. I've lost a lot of really good people because became that friend, that toxic friend who was always partying, or who was always, and at the end of it, I was always partying because I felt so empty inside. I was waking up in the day questioning, like, why did I even wake up? Like, why am I even here? Like, why do I even have to be here? Like, why am I even having to experience this? And I would walk out my door and put on this happy smile of, I'm happy, and I'm happy go lucky, and yeah. And then when people would call me out on it, I'd be like, well, I'm dealing with so much shit. But, but again, I was handling a lot of things that I was going through in toxic ways. And although, I felt like for a long time, I held the excuse of all the heavy shit I was going through to excuse a lot of the fucked up behavior that I had, because because I was going through so much heavy shit. And I feel like a lot of people from my past don't realize that I realize that about myself because I really don't talk about it. But yeah, and that's part of this deep replenishment, right? That's part of this deep replenishment. That's part of this retreat, rest, be held, like healing yourself and being honest with yourself about a lot of things in the past. And, feeling like, for me, feeling like I should be honest with some of the struggles and the things that I go through with you guys. Um, yeah. Play. So for some of you, maybe some of you are like me and that, you felt like you played away or you did too much fucking around later, like, earlier on in your life, and now maybe you developed this kind of like very harsh, rigid view of yourself where you almost feel like this play energy is almost like a waste of time, or like, I've played enough, or I've fucked around enough, like I need to be so serious. And Spirit's like, part of this deep replenishment is allowing yourself to have, to not always be like, I got to be neck deep in all this shadow work all the time, every day, day in, day out. I'm constantly having to grow and grind and constantly being triggered and constantly, searching for what's the next thing inside me I need to heal. Um, it is also very important that you just give yourself some downtime, that you give yourself that you have some laughs, even through, even if you are losing friendships, even if you are losing relationships, even if you are losing people that you thought would be in your life, even if you are realizing that you're losing some people in your life due to your own selfishness or your own actions in the past, don't be so hard on yourself all the time. And the more you are honest with yourself about this, and the more that you do, you do find that balance in not running away, not escaping out of the shadow work and out of the truth about yourself that you need to face, while also allowing yourself to open back up to share this new version of yourself without fear of being rejected in the way that you were in the past, right? Knowing that just because some people in the past rejected you or didn't accept who you are or didn't accept this new version of you, that does not mean that everybody won't. That does not mean that there aren't beautiful friendships and relationships that you're going to have out there again. And Spirit is saying, like, we're not just going to take your friends away or take your family away or take your lovers away and tell you should be fine 100% being by yourself, because you're human. You're not fine being by yourself. Should you have to have somebody? No. But there's nothing wrong with just wanting to have somebody, wanting to have a partner, wanting to have friends, wanting to have, lovers, wanting to have that, wanting to have a family. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And to also admit to yourself that it doesn't matter how many tarot readers or how many times I or somebody else or Spirit, you pray to Spirit and they tell you, hey, it's okay, it's part of the divine plan. That doesn't mean that it's not supposed to hurt. It doesn't mean that that's instantly just supposed to go away and be healed and go, oh, it's a part of my divine plan, so it's perfectly fine that my lover cheated on me and broke my heart. It's okay. It's because I needed to learn this lesson and somebody else better will come along. It's not supposed to be instant like that. And Spirit wants to say, for some of you, you've been hearing a lot of those same messages, which you kind of have put this subconscious need of thinking like, okay, I have to get over this right now. Okay, I have to be okay with this. I have to be okay with this. I have to be okay with this. No, you don't. Right? Excuse me, please don't do that. No, you don't. You don't have to be okay with it. It doesn't have to feel okay. It doesn't have to be okay. It will get there, right? It will get there. You will get to where you can accept it. You will get to where you can move on from it. You will get there. So Spirit says everything doesn't have to be okay, right? Everything doesn't have to be okay, but you also don't have to be breaking down every 5 minutes. Spirit said, don't go to either extreme. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to pretend, or you don't have to not pretend, but force yourself into thinking, I'm supposed to be okay with this. I'm supposed to be okay with this. I'm supposed to be okay with this. Like, you don't have to be. Spirit is just saying, like, hey, it is a part of the divine plan. It does, they're saying it in a way to be like, hey, we are being there for you. We don't want you to feel like you're being abandoned all the way around, right? We are trying to be there for you. It might not make sense now, but we're hoping that eventually it will, make sense. You will be shown, but it's still your choice as to whether or not you get the realization. Um, but Spirit saying, don't close your heart off. Don't close, don't be like, I'm never falling in love again, or I'm never having friends again, or I'm just going to be solo, dolo, by myself forever. Spirit saying that's not healthy either. So there is this energy here of finding this deep balance, right? Finding this deep balance and striving for it to be okay that you're not okay, right? And then, also having a limit on the other side, right? Having boundaries for other people and then having boundaries for yourself. Like, okay, that's enough crying or being upset about it. Like, it's time for me to really start healing from this. But it's okay if you're not instantly okay with it, right? It's okay. And it's also okay if other people don't understand what you're going through. It's okay if other people don't see your point of view. It's okay that even if you find the strength inside of yourself to finally persevere over all of the training that you've had to keep yourself silent, and you finally find your voice and you finally say, this is how I'm feeling and this is what I'm going through, not everybody's going to care. Even if those people are your friends, are your family, not everybody's going to care. And that can be very disheartening. It can be very disheartening to work so hard to find your voice and then finally have a voice and then still be told by other people, no, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It will matter to the right people. It will matter to the right people. So keep speaking your truth, right? Keep speaking your truth. Keep standing in your authenticity. Keep your voice strong. Don't back out of it because you finally found it and you finally got that chance to take that leap of faith or to do that and you fell on your face, or your business didn't take off, or your friends don't want to fuck with you anymore, or your lover says, I can't handle this, I'm getting the fuck out of your life. Don't lose your voice. Don't lose your voice, because it might make you want to dim yourself back down. Like, well, what is the point? I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard to find this in myself, and my friends or my family or the people in my life, they still don't recognize it. They don't recognize me. They don't see the growth in myself, even though I've been trying so hard for it. What's the point of me working so hard to overcome my trauma or my abuse, to have, to find my voice, just for people in my life to say, who cares? Who cares? You should have spoke up in the past. It's like, well, I have my voice now. Well, it doesn't matter. Are you supposed to be okay with that? No. Do you have to just keep going and realize that the right people will care about your voice? Yes. Yes. Okay. I thought I was done, but apparently Spirit wants me to pull a few. Okay. Spirit is asking me to pull about what's coming in the future. What's coming in the future? And I just saw the Knight of Swords, so this is coming pretty quickly. I'm hearing in the next 6 to 8 weeks, five of Swords. So you might want to keep expecting some people to, to still not vibe with you. However, I feel like you're also going to find this place inside of yourself where you are kind of embodying the kind of lighter, more high vibrational energy of the Five of Swords, which is, it does not matter. I will keep doing what it takes. I will keep doing what it takes. Yeah, there's so many people out there that have those stories about how they had a business idea, or had they they wanted an album, they wanted to make their way, they wanted to get their their art seen, or their music heard, or their their business to get taken off the ground, to get recognized. And there's so many people out there that tell you, oh, I had 1,000 doors slam in my face and I just kept going. And that's kind of the energy. It's like, I'm gonna have to keep going. And all your days, it's not like spirit expects you to just have this unbreakable spirit that never has days where it's like, fuck, man, like, damn, like, can't I just get a break? But shit. Yeah. Be careful about these intrusive thoughts too. Be careful about these intrusive thoughts sneaking into your mind as well as this. But spirit is saying, right, you're gonna find this grounding. You're gonna find this enlightenment. You're gonna find this happiness. You're gonna find it inside of yourself. So know that you're gonna keep doing that. I know that there are gonna be some people in your past that are always gonna doubt you. It doesn't matter how successful or how much you prove that you've made it or you've done it. It doesn't matter. There will always be some people out there who will always keep talking shit about you, or will always not see, or will always see you as a fraud, or will never acknowledge your growth. Or, oh well, that's their issue. That's their problem. Detach from them. Detach from them and stop allowing their opinion of you to sway you so much. And for a lot of you, you need to detach and cut cords with a lot of these people. Not specifically with people, cut those cords with those people. Yeah, and for some of you, these are lovers. These are people that are, we'll just say, not taking the same emotional maturity or taking the same path that you are. But for a lot of you, what's coming to the future? What's coming to the future? Chariot, a lot of change. Some of you is change in location, change in circles that you run in, change in, for some of you, you could be getting a new car, or you could be replacing parts of your car, something like that. You could be getting a new home. Hanged man. It's like the movement after being in that hangman energy, after being in that stillness, getting that realization, and then putting that movement into work. Like really seeing those changes happen. Yeah, spirit keeps showing me how you don't, how if you plant a seed, while it's growing its roots, while it's sprouting, while it's building its foundation, you can't really see above the ground that any work is being done. You're like, where's the flower? Where is it? I don't see it. Oh, you're working so hard, but where's it at though? But the seed has been planted. You're building that root structure. You're building that foundation to nourish the rest of the growth that you will be going through. For a lot of you, you're gonna be blocking out these really negative energies, even in yourself. Like I'm saying, like yourself, how the vulnerability in your self-worth and your self-empowerment allowed those people's thought processes and value that they put on your worth. You're kind of breaking that bond, or blocking that out, blocking them having that power over you. What is coming in the future? Okay. Justice. For a lot of you, a lot of justice energy is coming. I just heard karma. Karma energy is coming. Whether or not that be karma or dharma, whatever it is, it's coming. The star. Excuse me. A lot of healing, a lot of enlightenment. There are going to be those who will start recognizing you, right? Yeah, it's gonna be there. And that came out with this Queen of Pentacles. It's gonna start, this grounding energy is gonna really start showing up in your life. Oh my God, spirit is talking, that like SpongeBob meme where it's like, go thumbs up, like, where you're kind of like making fun of somebody, where they're like, I didn't know. They're kind of saying that, they're kind of having that kind of energy where it's just like, where they're literally showing me that like SpongeBob looking like being a chicken meme, where people are like, well, I didn't know you were working so hard. I had no idea. I had no idea that's what you were working on. I had no idea you were doing it. And I'm not trying to make fun of these people. That's just kind of like the vibe that like spirit is putting into my mind, where it's kind of just like you might get some people coming back looking stupid, like, oh, I had, would you, but you, I thought you were the same as before. Well, that's okay. I get it. I thought you would, yeah, I get it. You know, you might have had me pegged in the past. You know, that might have been who I was in the past, but I'm not. Some people don't want to see you as different from the past. Some people don't want to acknowledge the changes that you're making. It is that's them. Two of Cups. A lot of you are going with this Two of Cups here falling over the share your voice and with the soul family energy. A lot of you Two of Cups, you're going to be realigning with these people who really are the soulmate energy coming back into your life. Okay, yeah, and on the back of the deck with that the devil energy, right? Kind of leaving behind those kind of balancing out this energy, balancing out and letting go of this kind of like karmic energy, people that we learn from, these soul tie energies, these trauma bond energies, letting go of that kind of energy, also letting go of that energy within ourselves, letting go of being attracted to these people that make us feel comfortable with that shadow part of ourselves that we have not healed, right? And finding that temperance, finding that balance and that unity and that harmony. And as we are healing this inside us, we will see that we are aligning with people that treat us differently and act differently and feel differently about us. Wow, it's amazing. You have some self-worth in you, and you start to align with people that see the worth in you, right? The worth was always there, but you needed to see it for yourself, because otherwise you would not have tolerated these people to be in your life, right? Page of Swords. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. But I also feel like you'll be getting those messages. You'll be getting that communication. You're going to be getting from the past and from new people as well. There are going to be a lot of blessings that are coming, grounding into your life based on a lot of the shadow work and a lot of this work that you've been doing. Yeah, exactly. Also, Spirit wants to say that for some of you, you might have been, because you were doing so much mental and emotional work on yourself, you might have been finding it hard to do a lot of like the physical, having the energy to do more of like the physical changes, so that your home or that your house or that your person, your exterior person. For some people, they work and work and work and work and work on their house, their home, their job, their money, their bank account, their body, but on the inside they still have so much work. So Spirit is saying that you might have found you might have found that you working on the inside, you working below the surface, you working in that dark shadow, right, didn't have you sprouting above the surface yet, didn't show. Well, that energy is going to be shifting, it's going to be changing. You're going to find it a lot easier to put in the work. So if it, whatever it was, if it was a lot easier for you, to start, changing your diet, changing your workout habits, changing, your career, really working on, physical things in your life, you might be finding it suddenly a lot harder to work on those things. And you might be feeling yourself pushed into working on the emotional part. Whew. Especially with throat chakra. Sorry, I was burning an incense and it's really, whew, it's really doing something to my sinuses. Um, and if you have found it easier to, or if you've been finding that you've been concentrating or find it easier to work on the emotional stuff, um, you're going to start to find it a lot easier to start doing things like changing your diet, changing your exercise, changing your routines, changing, you know, uh, changing your house or your location or your work or your job or things like that, or your relationships, your exterior relationship, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of switch over and start working on those other things as well. Yeah, easier. Spirit said easier. Those things are, it's gonna require as much work as anything else does, right? But you're gonna find this motivation is here a lot more, and it's gonna, and how you might be feeling You might have felt a really strong burden to work on those other things. And now suddenly it's those things are going to get a lot easier to deal with. And now the realities of, oh, all this other stuff I'm not working on is going to start really hitting you. And it's going to be like, you might have felt the pressure and the burden to work on one or the other. And now you're going to feel that pressure or that burden, those pressure points being pushed to work on the other side of it, right? As well. You're going to start feeling that. Yeah. But I feel like for a lot of you, you're going to get this help and this commitment that you need to work on this. You're going to get the enlightenment, you're going to get the investment, the energy, the time. You're going to be finding a lot of sources, a lot of people, a lot of, books, videos, podcasts, and however it is that you're learning, classes, things like that. You're going to be very driven to work on those things. And you're going to be seeing a lot of these new soulmate energies kind of come into your life to open up these new pathways or open up these new doorways to make it a lot easier for you to commit to this, to things that in the past you were really fighting against, right? Or that might have been, you're like, that were really, seems like the universe was kind of fighting these manifestations on these things coming in, because spirit was saying it's not time to work on those things, it's time to work on these things, right? Because we can't give 100% to everything all at once. Yeah. So for a lot of you with this Six of Cups energy here, I feel like you're going to have a lot more soulmate unions coming into your life, um to help you work on developing whatever else it is. So if you have been doing a lot of emotional internal work, suddenly you're going to be finding those people that are inspirations for you to work on that business, or to work on that creative project, or to work on getting out there and networking, or you're going to be you're suddenly going to be really finding it a lot easier to go out there and search and find the commitments to change up your diet, or to change up, to eat more healthy, to vibe with different things. Yeah. Spirit says we're going to be pouring a lot more energy into those. So get ready for a kind of shift. Like, damn, I was working on this so hard, and suddenly now Spirit's like, shift. Now you need to work on this. And it could come in ways that Spirit is saying, like, if we're telling you to work on it, you need to work on it. If you don't keep working on it, if you don't start working on it, it's going to come in ways that you might have some regrets about, right? But either way, this is going to be some kind of justice coming in for you, right? So say that if Spirit has been encouraging you, it's going to bring a lot of things to light. Yeah. So if you know that Spirit's been encouraging you to work on, getting out of a job and getting a different job, you might lose that job, right? If you don't start working on it. Or vice versa. If you've been working on your job, and you're finally succeeding, you might go home and your partner might be like, you have not been working on this relationship and I want out of it. So you might be kind of finding these enlightened, whoa, the sun is shining on all, like, different parts of shadow energy that you need to heal from and that you need to work on, right? Yeah, but Spirit is saying, find the strength inside of yourself to face it, right? To face it. And Spirit is saying that when you give what you're giving that work into, what you're giving that attention into, is going to be giving back to you. So, yeah. So if you're giving that attention to anger, to fighting, or to being upset, or to, whatever, or to escapism, or to running away, or to not facing your energy, that's a thing as well, right? I just heard curveball. Like curveball. Yeah. What am I talking about? Planting those seeds. Growing. Right? Waiting for the harvest to come. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I almost said Seven of Swords. Seven of Wands. It's also this energy, again, of finding those boundaries inside of yourself. There's also some things that are going to be coming into your life. Some relationships or some things that you might have to defend. Yeah. In ways that you're going to have to stand up and defend your happiness, defend these blessings that are coming into your life, right? Remember how I said earlier, you might have those people that are still talking shit. You might have those people that still, yeah, people standing at a freaking distance, waiting for their ships to come in, seeing your ships come in. They might have some issues with it, or maybe their ships are also coming in, but this could be a people that have a lack mindset that feel like, oh, if my ships are coming in, both of our ships can't be coming in at the same time. Both of us can't be winning at the same time. Competition vibes. But I definitely feel like a lot of you are ending a karmic cycle with lessons here, and you're about to start a new cycle of learning different lessons, right? For sure. But I feel like most of you won't be doing this alone. You're not, well, one, you're never alone because you have your spirit guides, but you won't be doing this alone. Even if you feel alone now, you won't be doing it alone. So if that's a fear or an anxiety or a worry that you have, don't. Because exactly, no, you will not be doing this alone. No, right? You are just being unbound from people, places, and things that do not serve you right now, right? All right. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I hope that this resonated for you, or this gave you some love, light, or clarity into your life. I know I talked a lot about my issues and some of the things that I was dealing with, but hey, I just felt really guided to share some of my own personal thoughts about some things that I've been dealing with. If you resonate with them, cool. You're not alone out there dealing with it. If you don't resonate it, that's okay too. We're all on our own personal journey. All right. Okay, get down, babe. Thank you. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Please check out the links in the description box down below. If you like the content, give it a like. Think about subscribing and joining the tribe if you haven't. All right. And I will see you lovelies in the next one. Bye.